Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Heather. Today we're going to be doing a video where Instagram tells me how to read like an Aquarius. I follow zodiac Instagram posts all the time, and I was just going through and I was just like saving them. Plus, when people do their recommendations for zodiac signs and books, I like to follow those too. And I picked 7 books for this particular video. I'm sure you saw the thumbnail. The categories include solar punk, unique reader, dystopian romance. You know, Aquarians are creative, unpredictable, and independent. There was one for otters that was on there. There was one for the Magnificent North, and then one for Star Dragon. And that's what this video is going to be. I forgot to film an intro for this video, evidently, when I was in the middle of editing, so my nails look a little bit different, my hair looks a little bit different. But overall, these books that I read a couple months ago, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. So hopefully you enjoy this video and you stick around, and I'm gonna send you back. First one that we're going to be reading is Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler, and this is the solar punk. I'm really excited about this. I've heard nothing but good things about this book. I don't know a lot about this book besides it's always checked out in my library, and I finally was able to get it. So that's why we're starting this video now. But I know that it's about climate change and economic crisis in the early 2020s in California. I also know that this has like a science fiction-y feel to it. I've just seen this book around. People love it. I want to get on the bandwagon of loving this book too. So we're gonna start with solar punk and see if Instagram is correct about me loving this. Or loving the genre, I should say. Not this book particularly. But this is on a lot of solar punk's list of sci-fi books that I'm supposed to like. So we will see if Instagram is correct about that. But I'll let you know how I feel. Hi. I ended up finishing Parable of the Sower, and I'm gonna give it a 3.5. I liked the first half of this book, but the second half of this book, where they were trying to find a place to live and all that kind of stuff, I don't know, I found it kind of boring at times. But I did appreciate this book for what it was. This book is ahead of its time because I believe this was written in 93. Yeah, it was written in 93. So we are actually in 2025, 2026, 2027, which is, you know, right now. And the way that Octavia Butler was able to predict a lot of things and hear about how the government is going to shit, well, it's always been kind of shit, but how it's like, I don't know, our government is not good, okay? And how like specific type of diseases are coming back, and how society just kind of collapses when there's no structure, there's nobody that you can trust within the society. And Lauren's community lives in a gated community, and there's walls to protect them from the outside world because the outside world is rather savagery. There's a lot of things going on. Drugs, sexual assaults, stealing, murder, all of those things, and this wall is supposed to protect their community. There's a part of the story at the very beginning where somebody breaks into the community and it just wreaks havoc. Like, this community understands that the outside world is dangerous, but when it actually happens to them, nobody knows what to do, and it's just utter chaos. So Lauren decides to leave the community and try to figure out a safer place to live. She's going north. She wants to go to Canada, and along the way she meets a lot of other people, and they decide to band together. She has to do a lot of things that she normally would not do. She also has something called hyper empathy, where when she is around people, she can actually feel their emotions, and if they get hurt, she can feel their pain. So she has to hide that as well from people that she does not trust, because obviously they could use that against her for like torture and stuff like that. But she's a very, very strong individual and very strong-minded, physically strong. It's just, I really enjoyed learning about her as a character overall. I just didn't really care for the second half of this. So again, I can't appreciate what this book was and what Octavia Butler was talking about, especially when it has to come with racism, classism, and poor people continuing to be poor and not getting the help that they deserve. So it is, oh, and capitalism is a lot in here too, where the rich don't, like, people who have money just don't care about anybody else. That was a big theme in here too. But yeah, I'm glad that I read it. I'm glad that I finally got to it. Solar punk, I do think if I can find the right kind of solar punk book, Binti, I believe, is a solar punk as well, and that's been on my TBR for years. So I think that if I can find the right kind, I would really, really enjoy this genre, because I do enjoy the sci-fi dystopianness of these kind of stories. But yeah, those are my thoughts. So the next book that we're going to read is The Willows. And I chose this because there were otters. Otters are considered unconventional, adaptable, clever, independent, and mysterious. And the spotted neck otter, which I found, I didn't realize that there was something called a spotted neck otter. It is easy to distinguish from other otter species, and it is fairly understudied. It's a fairly understudied species, so it's supposed to be that mysterious air that Aquarians have. They can be found in groups as well, but they spend the majority of their time hunting or exploring individually. They can be friendly and sociable, just like an Aquarian. So that's why I have this. I don't know much about this besides it's supposed to be horrifying. Two men traveling find it bad enough when they are forced to camp on an isolated island, in the middle of nowhere. So, okay. So the island is gonna gobble them up. I don't know if that's true or not, but this is short, sweet, to the point. It's only 77 pages long. It's a classic, supposedly, in the horror genre world. And I like survival stories like this. So we'll get to it and I'll let you know how I feel. And this is why I would never go on like any sort of expedition, because you never know what is in the environment, like the wild. You never know what's in there, and this book is like the epitome of why you don't do that. And no shade to anybody who goes on expeditions, who loves to do that sort of thing. I just would never do it, because my luck, I would end up in a situation like this. These two guys going on this expedition, they're on this river, they get to this spot, like on the banks, and then they start hearing really weird crap at night and start like thinking that they're seeing things and stuff like that. And what actually ends up happening, I'm like, no. So that's why I don't mess with that kind of stuff. I am a lover of like looking at pictures and stuff like that. But when it is like going into the wild and not knowing what's in there, no sorry. Like me swimming in the ocean, even I'm allergic to the ocean, but me swimming in it, when I like realized that I was allergic to it, your girl didn't go above her knees, okay? Because I'm not trying to get eaten by anything, stung by anything. I don't know what's in there, and I am going to love it from afar and respect what's out there, okay? But yeah, I can see why this would be an Aquarius book, because it is unpredictable, and there are otters in this book too, which I appreciated. I liked getting to see the otters, and yeah, that's really just what this is, and it's a horror, no doubt about that, and I'm gonna give it a 4 star. So I wish it was a little bit longer because the ending was just kind of abrupt, and I was like, oh, okay. I literally said that. I was like, okie doke, it's done. But it does come with pretty pictures. This edition, I don't know about the other editions, but it comes with nice images. There's one in here that I can't show you because it's scandalous, but like, look at all that. Like, it's beautiful, but going in there and staying in there and not knowing what's around you, I'm good. I'm good on that. So 4 stars for that. The next book that we're going to read is Yours Eventually. And I know that it's a romance. It's a contemporary romance, and I know that it's about the Abram family. The patriarch has lost his fortune and his daughters are picking up the pieces. Our main character is the middle daughter, and she's been struggling. Hopefully she finds her true love, you know. But the reason why Instagram chose this one for me is because Aquariuses are creative, unpredictable, and independent. So we'll see how this book translates with all of those traits of being an Aquarius, and hopefully I will love it. And this is also by a Pakistani American author too, so getting some diversity in my reading. I'll let you know how I feel. I ended up finishing Yours Eventually, and I'm gonna give it a 3 star. Surprisingly, the romance in here was not my absolute favorite. I really don't like when we have like love triangles, love squares, you know. I don't really like that all that much. This was supposed to be a second chance romance. I did not like Ashma and Farouk together all that much. I did not feel the overall love that they were supposed to have towards one another. They broke up in college because Ashma did not think that her family would approve of him because he wasn't like a doctor or anything. And in her family, they expect her to marry somebody who's very wealthy or somebody who's going to school to be eventually wealthy, and he was not. So she broke up with him, and she's regretted it ever since. She is a doctor. I really liked the chapters and the parts of this book where we got her at work, because she seemed the most happiest when she was at work. She has a very dysfunctional family, and her dad gets into a lot of debt and puts a lot of that on to his family, especially Ashma, because she is the middle child. She is considered the most responsible, so she takes on a lot for her family, and she's just always stressed out, and I feel really sorry for her. But I think this book would have been more successful if we just followed her and her family instead of having the romantic plot line, which I usually don't say, but I think this would have been a lot better in that aspect. Just following her around, her trying to figure out her living situation, her at her residency or about to be at her residency being a doctor in the ER, and just not really following the status responsibilities of getting married and all of that. But it's cultural. I just wish we would have got her and we would have seen her a lot happier than she was, because she was honestly not happy throughout this entire book. At the end, she seemed happy with, you know, the happily ever after, you know. But I don't know. She was just like stressed out and really unhappy throughout most of this book. So I'm giving it a 3. Not that I dislike this book, but it just wasn't a romance to me, you know? But the next one we're going to read is, because I'm considered, as an Aquarius, a unique reader. And this next book is supposed to be very quirky. It's supposed to be inventive, and it's supposed to be kind of like magical. And I am choosing to read The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I've heard really good things about this. I know that it's a cozy romance. It's fantasy, cozy romantic fantasy, romantasy, whatever you want to call it. And I know that says here that she's an isolated witch, and she has an opportunity to embrace a quirky new family and a new love that changes the course of her life. Love that. Love that. And her name is Mika. Does it say? And Jamie. So Mika and Jamie. Jamie is a prickly librarian, and Mika has to hide her magic. People are begging her to travel to the Nowhere House to teach 3 young witches how to control their magic. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm just really excited about this. Like I said, I've heard really, really good things. Tasha Suri, who I have read from multiple times, says a warm and witchy hug of a book. And I'm just really excited about this. So hopefully Instagram is right about this one, because I love me a good, cozy, romantic fantasy book. I'll let you know how I feel. Y'all, I just finished this and I'm giving it a 4.5. Okay. I really, really, really loved this. I love books about found family. I just love books about found family, especially when the main character is a lonely person who has had to pretty much like survive on their own for forever, and they just come across this ragtag group of people, and this ragtag group of people embraces them, loves them for who they are, and you just see so much character growth, so much love, and just like, it's literally like a warm hug. This book is. And I absolutely freaking loved it. The only reason I'm not giving it 5 stars is because some of it kind of dragged for me, especially like in the middle. But overall, I loved all of the young witches. I loved all the young witches. I loved Mika. I loved Jamie. I loved the other side characters that were in here. They were just so freaking lovely. And I'm gonna say that. They're just such good characters. And I really like this book a lot. Okay, this book reminded me so much of vibes of Gunkel, but with the magical aspect of House in the Cerulean Sea. I just think that these 2 books and this book pair so well together. So if you liked any of these and you haven't read any of these, you should really pick them up, because I think that you would freaking love them. And Mika, being the witch that she is, she's not the most powerful witch in the world, obviously, but she is a part of a coven of witches, and these witches have to be separate. They have to lead separate lives. They meet up once a month to trade magic spells and all of that, because the head of this coven thinks that witches together is a bad thing. Like, too much magic together is a bad thing. But Mika gets this opportunity to go to the Nowhere House, where there are 3 young witches that are together. She is hired to teach them how to control their magic. And she ends up meeting Jamie. She ends up meeting the other people that live in this house. And she forms this bond with these girls and with Jamie. She wants these girls to succeed, and she sees that being together, like everybody, the young witches being together is it's a good thing rather than a nuisance, and rather than it being dangerous like she's always been told. But she realizes that together they can do a lot more, and the happiness that she sees these girls being in, even though they are orphaned, is just, it just warms her heart, and it warmed my heart, and I just wanted to hug everybody in here. I laughed, I teared up, I loved the dog in here too, and I really just liked this whole world. I thought that it was great. Now that I'm gushing about it, I'm gonna give it 5 stars, okay? I'm bumping my rating up to 5 stars, even though the middle kind of like dragged for me a little bit. I'm giving it 5 stars. Okay, yep, I just talked myself into it, but y'all, this is really, really good. I think if you're looking for a good, diverse book that has a lot of found family, a lot of love, queer characters, black characters, Indian characters, I believe that there are some other ethnicities and races in here as well, I think you would really, really like this. I just think that this is, like I keep saying, it's a warm hug of a book, okay? It's great. I loved it. So the next book that we're going to read, there really wasn't a description on this particular Instagram post, but it said like Aquarius vibes, right? And it has a dragon, stars, like a lot of spacey stuff. So I found a book called The Hollow that embodies this for me. because there's like a star dragon on it. It kind of looks starry to me, but there's dragons. There's a lot of blue. It looked a lot like the Instagram post, and so I'm gonna be reading Hollow next. I know nothing about this book. I just saw the cover and I was like, that cover is absolutely freaking gorgeous, and like I said, it matched the vibes of what the Instagram post was. So we're gonna be reading that next, and I will let you know how I feel about it once I get into it. I ended up finishing Hollow, and I'm going to give it a 3.5, I believe. I was going to give it a 3, but the more that I think about it, the more I'm like, oh no, I really liked all the creatures. I liked the overall plot of this book. We have Ferris. Ferris is going into what they're calling like the champion thing, where she has to go into the forest and capture all of these spirits of animals to try to get rid of the curse that's on her land. The forest is essentially eating her town and like everything else, and she has to go and try to stop it, you know? Sorry, I have bags of books here that I need to, anyways, so she's one of the champions that's going into the forest and trying not to die, trying to capture all of these animal spirits to get rid of the curse. In her adventure, she ends up coming across this guy named Hendrix, and he is a fae. He has this dark, mysterious aura about him, secret about him. She does not like him. She wants him to get away because he's trying to win, and he's like, he's cheating to get all of these spirits and the amulets that the spirits go into and stuff like that. So they don't like each other, but they pair up because he realizes that she is special. We don't know why she's special, but she's special. So he wants to team up with her. And then he realizes that he is like falling for her. She realizes that she is falling for him too, but she does not want to fall for him because he's trying to win this as well. And then along the way, they like try to kill each other and stuff like that. So essentially, it's pretty much a lot of other fantasies that you have read. But the cool premise about this is the spirit aspect. I really liked how this world was created and how it developed. And these spirits, they are like guardians of the forest. They all have their own job on how to keep the forest afloat, even though that they are spirits. And I thought that the authors did a really good job with making those spirits come to life. I really liked that aspect of this, and how like the spirits had their own personalities. The spirits were, I thought that they were really sweet in a lot of ways. But Ferris, the first spirit that she gets, was really, really cool. And for Hendrix to be a fae and to be like so strong and powerful, he gets the shit beat out of him all the time, and I was really happy to see that because I wanted to throat punch Hendrix pretty much this entire book. He's this big bad person, and then you never see why he's so big and bad. And after the 15th time I heard, I'm just a horrible human, I'm so dark and powerful, blah blah blah, I was like, okay, then freaking show me why you're so dark and powerful. And then when we finally see it, I had already clocked it from the very beginning, so that was annoying to me. But I will say, he is like ride or die for Ferris once he finally gets over himself, and I liked his character towards the end. Okay, he still has his reasons as to why he wants to be the champion, and I thought that they were actually kind of sweet. I thought Ferris's reasons were very sweet too. Like, they have a lot of compassion and a lot of empathy and all of that, but Ferris was a little naive as well for me. And yeah, overall, the Star Dragon thing for this entire vlog, I thought it fit pretty well. I liked the dragon spirit in this book and how it was described and everything. And honestly, I might continue on with the series because it did leave on a cliffhanger, and the cliffhanger, I was like, oh, that might get really good, you know? Might get really, really good. So I might check out the second book in the series. Now I'm reading Daggermouth. Daggermouth, I have seen this book everywhere. Everybody's saying it's the best book that they've read in 2026. And I can see why, because I am loving it. I started reading it the other day and I'm already at 50% and I'm only reading it at night because I don't have the audiobook for it, you know. And I am in it. Like, I am rooting for Shadera. I want her to everybody, you know. And she's a badass and I like her a lot. I also like Grayson. I like how damaged he is and just how his whole life is just so grueling and everything. And Shadera tries to kill him, like execute him. And now they are having to get together and do this forced political marriage of inconvenience type thing, and they're having to live together and they absolutely hate each other. Y'all, this is a true enemies to lovers where they are trying to kill each other constantly. And I have been looking for an enemies to lovers book like this for forever. This book is also extremely political, and it is showing how the rich don't give two craps about anyone else besides themselves, filling their pockets. Very relevant to what today's world. But I am just in it, and I am rooting for Shadera, and I am rooting for Grayson in some ways. He is just so damaged, and having a damaged male character in this book I think is the right way to go, because, you know, usually it's like the damsel in distress female character, but not in this one. No, she is a force and I love her. I am get him girl, you know. I am like that all through this. I'm liking all the side characters too, except like, you know, Grayson's dad and everything. Like our primary side characters, I really like them. I think that Lyra is in a really hard spot. That is Grayson's sister. And Callum, I like me some Callum, okay? Sorry with the tongue thing, but I like me some Callum. He is he's that dude. He's that dude. And then, what's his name? Jameson? Yeah, Jameson, he is, I haven't really got to know him all that well, but he is obsessed with Shadera and like wants to help her get out of the situation that she's in. So I'm really excited to see how Grayson and Jameson are gonna, I think his name is Jameson, are gonna come together. And I think they're gonna like have to fight to the, they're gonna have to fight for Shadera, and she's gonna have to, you know, yeah. I'm figuring out in my brain right now. Am I saying her name correctly? I hope so. I think I am. I like it. I can see why this is on everybody's list, and I can see why people are loving it so much, because it's a wild ride and I am eating it up. Like, this is the type of hyped book that deserves to be hyped, and I'm so glad that it is being hyped, because I can see this winning Goodreads. Honestly, I can see it winning it. Hopefully it does, and it better be on the list, because if it's not on the list, we all know that Goodreads is rigged, but if it's not on the list, no. You know, no. But I'm going to continue reading it and I'll let you know how I feel. Reason why I picked this is because it says it's a true enemies to lovers. I love me some enemies to lovers. It's supposed to fit into the way that Aquariuses have progressive thinking, how they want people to do the right thing. And typically an Aquarius is going to make sure that if the right thing is not being done, they're going to make sure it gets there, you know. And also just the value of freedom and how everyone deserves their rights, you know. I think that's how Aquariuses think. But yeah, this book is embodying all of that, and like I said, I am loving it. If you haven't read it yet, I think you should, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be a pretty high rated book, if you can't tell already. I freaking love Daggermouth. I'm sure you knew that I was going to give this 5 stars just by the way that I was talking about it before. But if I could give this book 100 stars, 1,000 stars, I absolutely would. I thought that it was excellent. I don't know. At the very last page, I was like, damn, I need the second book. I need it. It left on a cliffhanger, and I was not expecting it, okay? I was not expecting it. I love how dark and mature this book was, but it also had a lot of dry humor. It had a lot of complex, all the characters were very complex. And even though we were following a lot of different characters in this book, I never felt confused about anybody because they were so, like, their character development was done so well. And every single character in here was complex. They were morally gray. And sometimes you just need a book where everybody is not perfect. And nobody in this book was perfect. But everybody in this book had a reason for doing what they were doing. It just wasn't that they were out killing people because they were, you know, or trying to overthrow the government for their own selfish reasons. It was because they were trying to help other people, and I loved that aspect of it. It is really reflective of how the world is going on today as well, even though it's a dystopian romance. It doesn't seem that far-fetched of what could happen. The heart is the rich part of this world. Then we have the cardinals, and then we have the boundary. The boundary is full of poverty. People are starving. People don't have homes. People are really, really sick. They can't get the resources that they need to survive. And that's where Shadera is from. Then we have the cardinal, which is like the middle class. They still have a harder time, but they don't have all of the issues that the boundary has with just surviving. And then, of course, the heart is the elite. They are the rulers. They are better than everybody else, quote unquote. And Shadera's main goal is to take down the heart. And Jameson's main goal is to take down the heart. And then you have Callum, Lyra, and Grayson. And Lyra and Grayson are the kids of the president, and he is a shit bag of a person. I hated him, and again, the author did a really good job with his character and capturing the villainy behind his character, showing that he is just a piece of work. And I thought that the author did an exceptional job with him. But I also thought that Grayson and Shadera, even Callum and Lyra, and like every character in here, they all have their opinions of everybody else. But Shadera and Grayson realize that, well, Shadera's overall thing is that the rich killed her parents. She wants revenge, but when she meets Grayson, he is the executioner. She's a missionary, and she's like, her whole point is to kill him, like to wipe him out. And when she finally gets to meet him and she gets to know him and realizes that he hates his dad, he doesn't want to do what he's doing, she has empathy for him. And I thought that that was a very good representation of a lot of people. You can dislike other people, but having empathy is so important, just to learn and realize that no one, or hopefully most people, are just trying to live and get by, and they might have to do things that aren't good. It shows that she had empathy for him, and I thought that that was so well done, because so many more people need empathy. Even though she could like him at any time, she got to know him, even though she was in a horrible position of like getting married to him and stuff like that. But same with Grayson. He dislikes Shadera. He doesn't want anything to do with her. But as he gets to know her, he realizes that underneath all of the angry woman rage, she really just needs somebody there to comfort her and to listen to her and try to see things from her perspective. And I really, really liked it. So obviously I'm gushing about this. Will this be in my top of 2026? You bet your sweet butt it will be. It might even be my absolute favorite book of 2026. I don't know yet. But I highly encourage people to read this. Even if you don't read dystopian romance, I think that you would get something out of this because it does have so much political intrigue in it, and friendship, love, darkness, everything that you need. Like everything. If you like fantasy worlds, you probably would eat this book up too. So highly encourage you to read it. The last book that we have for this particular video is based on a post that said that Aquarius's world is the Magnificent North. Do I know what that is? No, I don't. But evidently the Magnificent North is based in this book, which is Upon a Broken Heart. I don't know much about this book. So we have, how do you say this name? Evangeline? Is that how you say it? Anyways, she is upset because the person that she loves is marrying somebody else. So she makes a bargain with somebody called the Prince of Hearts to try to stop the wedding, to try to like make it not happen. And then she realizes that bargaining with him is a death sentence, essentially. We'll figure it out. Well, I will tell you how I feel about this. Ooh, there's some like mixed media in here too. Let me find it. There's like notes and stuff in here. Is there a map? Oh, wow. That's very pretty. The Magnificent North. Aha. Yep, that's the world. Okay, cool. Well, that's just really pretty. I haven't even looked at this book yet. I like the foiling on the front though. Foiling gets me every time. But I do have the audiobook for this. There's a newspaper article at the very front. I have the audiobook for this, so I should be able to listen and do other things in my life, you know. And I'll keep you updated on how I'm feeling and let you know my final thoughts. Unfortunately, we're ending this video on a flop, okay? I'm giving this a 1.5. Even though that this is a YA, okay? It's a YA. I still read YA, and typically I like YA, like fantasy / romantasy, whatever, fantasy romance, whatever you want to call it, because the worlds are easier to follow. Like with the world building and all the creatures and characters and everything, they're a little bit more laid out than I have seen in, you know, adult fantasy where there's just a crap ton of everything and I have a hard time keeping up. Anyways, I couldn't stand this book. Like, our main character, Eveline, we'll call her Eva, whatever. She is not very smart, okay? I will give her props because I am giving her a 0.5 for this, but she is very loyal, which I liked about her character. But the overall mystery of what was going on with the different spells that people were under and the overall trying to figure out who killed who and who's gonna marry who and all that, it was very uninteresting to me. And honestly, a couple of times I was really wanting this just to be over and so I could get done with this book. I do not recommend this book to you at all. She makes a deal with the King of Hearts. She gets turned to stone. She gets unstoned. And then her stepsister, is she evil? Is she not evil? She has an evil stepmom. There's a lot of references to like Snow White in here with, you know, poison apple. Jax is always carrying an apple. He smells like apple. He's totally hot, but also completely unbearable. He's a bad boy. She is very innocent, but she also wants to find true love. He makes her go out and kiss people because he finds it fascinating that she's going to do it, even though whatever. I did not like this. We'll just say that. But I did like this video. I thought that it was very interesting. My overall rating for this video was a 3.64. I found a few favorites of the year with some 5 stars. Daggermouth, obviously. I'm still thinking about that book. And also The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I cannot wait to continue on with this series. It sounds adorable. I already have the second book on my shelves. So I'm hoping to get to that before, you know, before the end of the year. That's my goal. But I also read some so-so books in here too. Books that I will try out. Like, I will try it from the author again. But one book that I don't ever want to see again. Okay? Don't want to see it again. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to see another one like this. I'm probably going to end up doing another one like this because I like seeing people's recommendations for my zodiac sign. I think it's fun. Do I agree with them most of the time? No. But I do think it's fun, and I hope you stick around for the next one coming up very, very soon. Hopefully you have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.